Welcome. This is the first video out of the four covering the four chapters or elements within the new NEBOSH General and International Certificate. Do contact us for video conference workshops, which you can attend from the comfort of your home. Details are in the website. The accompanying book is available from Amazon. Good luck to you all. So before we start, let us look at the syllabus for both the national and the international general certificate. They comprises of four elements or four chapters. We'll start out with the first element, which is why we should be managing workplace health and safety, starting off with the morality and the financial reason why we should be managing health and safety. As this is a health and safety qualification, let's get our thoughts regarding what is the distinction between safety and health. Safety, as you can see, is an acute event that happens immediately. The outcome for the health, on the other hand, might take much longer, and it is quite elusive. So it is quite different. But the same hazard may have both safety and health, as you can see the person on the machine. Now, the justification for managing health and safety can be categorized into three key areas. We can say it is life can be hell if you don't manage health and safety. For example, there is a human, economical, and legal reason. Let's explore hell in a bit more detail, starting off with the moral reason. Workers, when they go to work, they expect to come back without any harm or injury. Society expect that. The media will definitely pull companies if they have caused harm and injury. So there are moral and social reasons as well. Now, if you look at the employer's duty, even if there is in countries where there are no legislation, there is a common law requirement that employers must do their level best to protect staff, and the acronym there is PEST. So literally, every employer needs to provide. That is a moral obligation. The other reason why we should be managing health and safety is financial, and I think to a great extent managers and directors can relate to. If you have an incident, there could be both a direct loss and a much more expensive indirect loss. As you can see in this example of an incident where if someone gets harmed and injured, the actual indirect cost far surpasses the direct cost. Element 1.2 and 1.3 covers the legality or legal reasons. That's what we'll be looking at. Now let's start out with the legality, looking at the distinction between common law and statute law. Common law, it is been there since over centuries. It's part of an English law that has derived from customs and judicial precedents. So courts, they look at past decision to implement the principles. That is common law. Whereas statutes, on the other side, they are written law. They are body of principles, rules laid down by the governments. And in UK it goes through parliaments or through agencies. So that is the difference between common law and statute law. Many countries outside UK follow the International Labour Organizational standards, which are written down as form of conventions as well as recommendations. So most other countries do follow those ILO standards. UK is in the forefront of health and safety, where even the parliament or the government have enacted laws. So they are referred to as Act, and there are many other regulations produced by the Secretary of State, and there are approved code of practices and guidances. So in short, an employer has to be keeping their fingers on the pulse on many standards within an organization. There are three levels to the standard of compliance for employers in criminal law, which is absolute duty, practicable, and reasonably practicable. So students need to have a clarity on those three levels. The other two technical terminology that the student needs to be aware of is vicarious liability and contributory negligence. The best way to look at the distinction is vicarious is an employer may be culpable or negligent, whereas contributory negligence is where the employee or staff has to be blamed or take a portion of the blame. The inspectors or the officers who enforces health and safety have lots of powers, and as you can see, they can either give a cautionary note, or they can give an improvement or prohibition notice, or even take prosecutions, commence prosecutions against an employer. So quite a powerful group of people, and students need to know what their powers are. We have already covered common law and statute law earlier. Let's look at civil law and criminal law within that. Civil law is more an action between two parties, so it's a private action, or it could be an action by the individual against the state, so it's a private action, whereas criminal law is an action by the state. Students need to have a clarity on the distinction between civil law and criminal law, and reality is that most employers are faced with civil litigation which can happen left, right and center, whereas criminal law is a bit more difficult to prove because it is on the basis of beyond reasonable doubt. Students need to make that distinction. UK students doing the General Certificate need to be covering this extra module, which is the legal duties for employers and workers. The key, the mother of all legislation in UK is the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, and look at some of the sections within that, as well as the management regulation. Key to management regulation is risk assessment, which we'll be covering later in element 3. The last unit within element 1 is managing contractors, and there are 5 steps to managing contractors. Students in UK doing the General Certificate need to be aware of construction design management regulation, where they are key parties and the whole project from start to completion needs to be managed, and there are requirements to have key documents to prove due diligence. Finally, some projects needs to be notified to the authorities, and the criteria are listed, as well as the fact that even if it doesn't need to be notifiable, even small job, the whole concept of CDM needs to be complied with. So that is the end of element 1.